Hey there, it's Mr. Tush over at Global, and we're going to take a look at how to build your first very simple game because we're into game design now. It's kind of fun. And so we're going to look at a very simple game right here. This game is a nutritional choices game. So what's going to happen, I'm going to click my green flag. Notice it resets everything. It says make a nutritious choice, which is the apple. And I'm going to click on the apple and my score goes up. And as I click on the Cheesy Puffs, my score goes down. I can try to click past 0, I can't. And you saw that 10 was the you won screen, so when I click up to 10, it tells me that I've won. A very simple game. You're going to work on how to do that today. Well, what I've done is I've opened up a blank new screen, and you're going to have to put this together yourself from the scratch. And you're not going to have a problem doing that because we know how to do this really, really well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep using the kitty. I know that my sample uses Abby, doesn't matter. And I'm going to, if you notice, this whole thing is on a backdrop of what looks like a refrigerator. So if I go to my backdrops, I'm going to go in here to my indoor spaces, and there's my refrigerator. So that's great. Then you notice that it also has an apple. So I'm going to go over to my sprites and get an apple, food, apple, and I'll stick that apple on my shelf. And it has a junk food choice. So I'm going to go back to food, and Cheesy Puffs are going to be my choice, just so it looks like the model. And so I'm doing that. You can use junk food. You can make other choices as you go. That's no problem. That's part of the creative process. Now, you'll notice I keep score here. Well, how do I keep score? I keep score using something called a variable. And you're going to make your own variable for this game. And well, what is a variable? Well, variables in Scratch, the best way to describe them is they're buckets. And if you think about buckets, you put things in your bucket, whether it's cleaning supplies or popcorn or crabs or whatever this nonsense is. You're going to just put stuff in your bucket. And in Scratch, the things you're going to most often use are either numbers or text strings. And today, it's a score, so we're going to keep numbers. Later on, we'll learn how to do other things with variables as well. But today, it's all you need to know. Now, the first thing I want to do is make my variable. So I'm going to click Make a Variable, and I'm going to call it Score. Always describe it as something useful. Score, I know I'm storing my score in that, so I wouldn't call it Harvey the Fish unless I was storing text strings about fishes. So I'm going to call it Score. I'm going to make it for all sprites. Those of you who have already worked with variables in other courses, you'll see that that in particular score written that way for all sprites is a global variable. So everything in the program gets to use the variable called score. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my apple so that my apple, every time I click on my apple, my score goes up by 1. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to go into an event handler that says when this sprite is clicked. So when this sprite is clicked, and I made it a little bit larger over here so you can see, I'm going to go to my score, and I'm going to change my score by 1. Now, a lot of you are going to want to think about doing set score to 0 or set score to 1. It's not set. This is no. Set will just put it to one value and leave it there. You want to change it. You want to go up by 1. Let's see how that works. Go over here. Yep, looks great. I'm going up by 1. I'm going up forever and ever. Well, we'll figure that one out later. What about this? Nothing. Well, I think we know what to do. Go over to when this sprite is clicked, and I go to my variable, and it only gives me a change score by 1. So here's the problem. I click this, it goes up. I click this, it goes up. That's not what I want. Well, -1. That's all you got to do. Change the score by -1. Apple goes up. Cheesy Puffs goes down. So that's kind of a cool thing. And I could sit there and have fun going up and down with this all day. But I'm going to show you the next problem. You have a score of -12, 14, 15, 16. You can go down and forever go down. And that's a little bit crazy. How are we going to fix that so it doesn't go below 0? Well, this is a little bit more of an advanced thing, but you're really smart, so we can do this together. We're going to use something called an if-then statement. We're going to go to the control drawer. If-then, stick if-then in here. If this is true, then do this. That's all it says. If such and such is true, and we haven't told it what yet, then do something. Well, here's what we're going to do. Go over this thing called operators. We're going to compare two things. Operators are fun because they compare things. Is this like that, greater than that, or less than that? And I'm going to use the less than operator. So if whatever's in here is less than 50, then do whatever's in here. Well, I'm going to change that. I actually want it to stop taking off 1 every time I go below 0. So if the score is below 0, if what? The score? Yep, that's right. If the score is below 0, then I'm going to use my set. and set score to 0. So look what happens. I click on this, it scores below 0, so it sets to 0. I go up 4 or 5, back to Cheesy Puff Land. If I go down to 0, it will not go below 0. I've now got that done. So far, so good. But I've got nothing that tells me I won. That kind of stinks. Well, here's how I'm going to tell me I won. Watch this. Going over to my backdrops. My backdrops are where I'm going to add text. It's the best way to do it. Well, I'm going to need a refrigerator. I'm going to need to change this. So I'm going to duplicate it. Duplicate this so I've got refrigerator and refrigerator 2. Well, let's give it a meaningful name. So we're going to call this refrigerator game. So that's when the game's in play. And then refrigerator U1. And I'll use the colloquialism, the letter U, just because it's only meaningful to me. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to my refrigerator game. So make sure I'm in my game fridge. I'm going to add text. I'm going to grab this text tool, put right in here and say make a nutritious choice. So we do that, put this right down here. That's all I need. And then over here, this is the U1 screen. I'll give it a darker color. And I will go in here and I will say U1, a couple exclamation points because everybody likes them. And then congratulations. And because this is really hard to see and make sense of, I'm going to make this down here and put this down here. So now, here's what happens. They play in here, and then at the very end, it switches to U1 and congratulations. For today, that's one of the last things we're going to do. We go over to the apple. Now, the apple, every time, it's going to check to see whether you won. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to here to apple, and I'm going to set up the following code. I'm going to use an if-then statement. If-then, here we go. And I'm going to compare the score again and use the equals. I'm going to say if the score is equal to 10, then I'm going to switch the backdrop. How cool is that? Just say give me the switch backdrop to refrigerator U1. So far, so cool. Now, where in the world do I set it so that the backdrop is listening for, now I start this up, let's see how this works. I'll start this up, it tells me you won. Wait a second, if I click the green flag, I'm still you won. I haven't won forever. Oh my God, how am I going to fix that? Well, it's actually fairly straightforward. I go back here to my backdrop. I tell the backdrop to listen for the green flag. So when the backdrop gets the green flag, it's going to switch the backdrop to backdrop game, refrigerator game. And wait, I picked the wrong one. My bad. The green flag is like, that's the one you want to pick. Switch backdrop to that. So now when I click this, boom. Okay, well, so far so good. What about when the green flag is clicked, I don't change my score? Well, I can do this here. I could actually say, when the green flag is clicked, this is an extra little piece I'm adding for my apple. I can almost put this anywhere. When the green flag is clicked, I'm going to actually set my score to 0. So when the green flag is clicked, the score sets to 0. I go up here, I go down here, and when I get all the way up here, I win. If I click the green flag, the game resets. That's all you got to do. It's fairly straightforward. When you think about it, you've got not a lot of coding in here, but you've got some complicated coding. So you can expand this, and the way you're going to expand it is, I want you to have at least 6 sprites, 3 good nutrition choices, 3 bad nutrition choices, a fun backdrop, a score variable that keeps score, different, I'm going to add this to it, different sprites win and lose different values as a +2 or a -2, and we'll give that 6 points as well. And then you're going to have the game begin when the green flag is clicked. The game ends at a specific score and tells the user they won. The score can't go below 0. So you have to solve this problem using an if-then. So you got all that stuff going on. And I'll give you up to extra 5 points for creativity. So entertain me. Have some fun with this. I hope you enjoy it. Good luck with the lesson. Thanks for watching.